Hi, what is up my dudes? It's Ariel and welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're here, happy to see you, and glad you're joining me for this video. So this video is a bit different than like my usual video. It's gonna just be a sit down video where I'm kind of just chatting about my own experience with mental health and how that kind of relates to fashion, and also I guess social media a bit and just life. Just a chat. I feel like it would be good. I feel like maybe some people can relate, and it's something I think about a lot and I'm literally experiencing, so I figured it would be interesting to chat about, bring to the channel. Very curious to hear your thoughts as well, so feel free to chime in the comment section and we can just have a little chat about fashion and mental health and whatever we end up talking about. I did a video kind of similar to this in format and topic somewhat, I guess, in the very beginning of my channel called Instagram versus my reality, where I kind of just talk about Instagram and why I deleted it for a year. And I feel like that seems so far away now, and I don't know, a lot of stuff have changed in my life. And that was one of my favorite videos to do just because I really enjoyed talking about the topic and just like speaking freely about something I'm interested in. So today is, I guess, the fashion mental health edition. I don't know, there's been some stuff that have been just like swirling in my mind for the past couple months, and really just like my duration of making videos on YouTube that I wanted to talk about, but I never really knew where it would like fit in, so we're just doing a whole video about it and I hope you enjoy it. But first, a message from the sponsor of today's video, which is BetterHelp. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Is there something interfering with your happiness or that's preventing you from achieving your goals? This was true for me at one point, and I found that reaching out and getting help was the best option for me. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating within 48 hours, and it's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional therapy done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus therapist network, which may not be available locally in many areas. This service is available for clients worldwide, and you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, and additionally, you could schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/Ariel, that's better HELP, and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. As a special offer for viewers of my channel, Ariel McKenna, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Ariel. If you need help, I really encourage you to go and check out BetterHelp by clicking the BetterHelp link down in the description. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, and now let's get into it. So I'm not really sure where to start this video, but I think that it would be helpful to kind of give you some background about what got me into fashion in the first place and how that related to my mental health, and then like kind of just the timeline to now. So I first got into fashion when I had to start wearing actual clothes to school, because I switched from going to a private school where you wear a uniform to a public school, and at my public school I did not fit in by any means. Like, I was a sore thumb, I was one of the only black kids, I was awkward, I didn't really have any friends, and I was just like generally an outcast. I felt very unnoticed and stuff like that. I don't know, I felt like I just didn't have a place, and I found that exploring fashion and getting into fashion was kind of my way of finding my place and like my own identity, because it was just something that I could have for myself and use to reflect myself and represent myself. And from then, I feel like I've always had a pattern of using fashion somewhat to make up for or kind of cover any insecurities I've had. As I progressed and got older, I never really felt pretty in a feminine sense growing up as I got older, and in that way I also really used fashion to kind of compensate for that. And I kind of figured that because I didn't think of myself as pretty, I could at least be stylish, and that would be like my in, and like what gives me that confidence that a lot of people find in, I guess, makeup makeup or like their looks or stuff like that, I used kind of fashion in that way. So that was kind of the beginning of me using fashion to kind of like fill like a void somewhat, or just deficiency I felt in the wholeness of my life, or like an area I was lacking. I would just use fashion to kind of make up for it in a way. And I don't think this is uncommon. I feel like a lot of people use stuff they're passionate about or stuff that they feel like are a strong suit to kind of like cover up the weak spots. So for me, that was fashion. And I think that in a lot of ways it was positive, because it really helped me with my self-esteem and like my confidence, because otherwise it really was not that good, especially during that time, those years ago. But I think using fashion to kind of compensate for it also helped me develop my own personal self-esteem and like see my own value, I guess. However, I feel like it was also the start to kind of like a slippery slope and like a dangerous, not cycle, but like a dangerous pattern of behavior that I feel like I still have even now and am working on. So I always kind of carried that mentality with me that fashion is my thing, or like my strong suit. That's like my draw. Like some people had looks or their personality, but I thought that for me it was fashion. I now realize like that's not the case, and I have a lot more to offer than my own personal style or how that's perceived by others. But I think that for a long period of time throughout my life, and specifically when I was in high school and even a bit of college, I based a lot of my worth on the fact that I had good style, and kind of saw that as the one selling point or saving grace for myself, because I felt like I was lacking in other areas. But because I put so much pressure, or not even pressure, but such an expectation that all I have to offer is my style, I feel as though it kind of did a bit more harm than it did good. I'll talk about the harm, I'll talk about the good, just so you can like get an idea of what I'm talking about. But I feel like in a lot of ways it made me super reliant on the things I had or my interests and what I could show for that physically and present to others, and like what I can buy that would reflect myself and also reflect things that would be perceived by others in a positive light, rather than working on, I don't know, like interpersonal skills or building my self-esteem from within rather than from with material items. I do think that ultimately my interest in fashion and building up my self-esteem through fashion later resulted in me becoming more confident in these other aspects of myself and my personality. But initially, feeling like all I had to offer was my style or my fashion sense, and that was my only good trait, led me to constantly feel like I had to prove myself and prove my worth through fashion. So that's kind of like how in the past I have used fashion to like cover up, I guess, some discrepancies in like my mental health, my self-confidence, and just like insecurities in myself in general. But I think that now I kind of do the same thing, I'm realizing, but in a different way. So I started my channel about a year ago now, and I started it in the midst of quarantine. I think like maybe 5 or 6 months into quarantine, which also happened to be the period that I was struggling the most in terms of my mental health and my motivation and just anything. And I think that starting a channel and just setting the goal for myself to post every week without fail ended up being something really positive and like a motivating factor for me in life in general. I think that I just needed something that made me want to work towards something and have a little goal for myself, which ended up being releasing a video every week. So in that way it was super positive. And of course, when thinking of what to film for my channel, I immediately went to fashion because that's my biggest interest and hobby. And of course, if there's one thing that I think I could like talk about, it was fashion. And additionally, at the time I was doing a ton of shopping online. I had just really gotten into shopping on secondhand platforms like eBay and stuff like that. So it was super new to me and I was super excited about it. And then additionally, being very depressed at home all the time and just really like needing stuff to look forward to, I got into a cycle of constantly buying things online to kind of just cover up or mask that feeling of depression and that feeling of blandness and flatness of the everyday life in quarantine, and to just give me something to like look forward to and be happy about, because I felt like the options were very slim to none. And honestly, it worked a bit, but it didn't work forever. But what it did do was kind of get me into a cycle of buying things to cover up a feeling, or looking to making purchases as a way to make me happy or add meaning to my life. And I think that that has been something that I've come to notice, and now am like having to kind of unlearn and try to undo. But I don't know, it's hard when you feel like you have nothing else to look forward to, and you do get like that instant hit of like, oh wow, a new thing, like this is what will change my life, like obtaining this item will make me happy, or buying this thing will be what makes me super happy and motivated, or getting this thing will cure whatever feeling I'm having that I don't want to. So I think that in that way, although it did provide kind of a temporary resolve or release to feelings of depression and the mundaneness of my life, I think that it also could have done more harm than good in reinforcing that idea that buying an object or obtaining a material possession will make me ultimately happier or better in some way. And I've been hesitant to talk about this topic on my channel because as much as I feel like it's important, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced the same thing, especially in quarantine and with the rise of online shopping. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that situation and to buying things to kind of just have something to look forward to, or like buying things solely for the purpose of filling some kind of void, I guess. But I was hesitant to talk about it on my channel because I also feel like that's a lot of what my content is. Not necessarily buying it to fill a void, but just products in general and like clothing and stuff like that. And it's still a huge interest of mine, and I don't want this video to be taken like, oh, so because I realize the harmful effects, I no longer am doing this at all. I think that it took me a lot of time to recognize the patterns that I was making and following for myself in terms of buying things when I'm feeling down or upset, or buying things just as something to look forward to, or thinking that it will be a fix-all for my life even though it's just like a shirt. But I think that with time I've now come to realize that that's not the case. But I also still enjoy fashion, and a lot of that is getting new clothes, and I enjoy shopping and stuff like that. But I think that intentionality is a big part of it, and becoming aware of my intentions behind it in the first place and kind of just talking about it makes it easier for me to proceed and do the things that I still love, which is like shopping and talking about fashion and showing you fashion and clothes and thrift shopping and shopping in general and just stuff like that. Stuff I've been doing, but just with the right intentionality behind it, it makes a large difference. And at one point, I think probably like 2 months ago, I got to a point where I just was turned off from fashion in general because I found myself feeling too overwhelmed after buying all this stuff in pursuit of it making me happier, and the cycle of me feeling down and looking for an item and thinking, oh, buying this one item will be what makes me happy, and then getting the item, feeling that small bit of happiness, and then casting it aside as I did with many things before and just continuing that cycle. It led me to a point to where I was turned off from fashion in general because I thought that that was the problem rather than my unhealthy shopping patterns. And it just made me really frustrated because something that I once loved and looked to as an escape also had me feeling so trapped and like had me losing the interest and passion that I once had for it. And because I use fashion as such an escape and really just something I enjoyed doing and talking about and learning about and just focusing on in my like day-to-day life, I think that losing my interest in it in that way really made me disappointed, because I kind of felt like, well, if I don't even care about fashion anymore, what else do I I have left to care about or be interested in, you know? Like, it was my escape from the real world, and now it's kind of just turning into another thing that's leaving me feeling empty. But I think that just talking about it like I am now, I don't know, kind of just reflecting on the good and the bad, has helped me to realize that it wasn't fashion that was making me feel this way, but rather my lacking mental health and feeling of emptiness and wanting to fill that with fashion. And I think that when you put too much pressure on anything, I guess, to bring you happiness, that's kind of where you get into dangerous territory, because I feel like you can't really put pressure on anything or anyone or any material item to give you that happiness or like feeling of fulfillment that you might be looking for. But I don't know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that that takes time to learn, and I have learned that within the past couple months to couple years / I guess all my life. But I don't know, I feel like it's something that I'm starting to realize now. But with that, I just feel like it's also kind of my responsibility, or not even responsibility, but just something I would like to talk about, because I feel like at times I could also be perpetuating the idea to you guys that, oh, I bought this thing and now I'm so happy, and this thing is great, and I needed this thing and now I'm happy, because that's what a lot of my videos do entail. Not necessarily like that black and white, but I feel like constantly showing things that I'm getting and stuff like that without also talking about the other side of it, which is feeling empty after you've unboxed the item, or after you've gotten all this stuff that you don't really have a place for and didn't really need in the first place. I don't know, I think that they're both true and can both be true simultaneously. And yeah, I just think it's a topic worth talking about, especially with how much that I talk about getting things. I feel like this is definitely just another aspect of it that I don't hear talked about as much. And I don't want you to think that like my content is changing. It's not gonna change in any way. Like, that's not the goal. I don't think that the problem is within the videos I make in and of themselves, but I think it's more so in the subliminal messaging that I could be sending, that buying things or getting a ton of things and material possessions will make you happier or make you better or make you more valuable and be like the answer to your problems, because that couldn't be farther from the truth. And at one point I didn't know that, but I know that now, so I feel like all I can do is share that with you as well. So yeah, that has been this video. I just wanted to kind of have an open chat about, I don't know, some realizations I've had about fashion and mental health and consumerism. So yeah, this has been just a little chat, a little reflection. I don't know what the takeaway or like grand revelation of this video is supposed to be. I guess to be mindful, and I guess that like material possessions aren't gonna fix or change your life or like your perspective or like cure your depression or anything, which is something that, I don't know, I feel like you could hear it. I heard it in the past and it didn't really click for me until I found myself looking in those places to kind of give me a relief or a fix to my depression and stuff like that, and like the empty void that I would feel sometimes. I feel like in that way it's also a bit of a trial and error thing, and like you don't realize it until you've actually done it yourself. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of other people could probably like relate to this as well, especially with the pandemic and the rise of like online shopping. I feel like a lot of people have sought out online shopping as a way to like add meaning to your everyday life or like be a bit of an escape. But I don't know, I found that doing that kind of ruins it a bit. But yeah, constantly working on just finding that balance between enjoying fashion as a hobby and an interest of mine, and my love for clothes and collecting things in general, and how that also relates to my own mental health. I don't know, I feel like I'm maybe not making full sense or rambling a bit, but I don't know, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Let me know down below if you relate to like some of the stuff I was saying, or if anything really resonated with you. I just kind of felt like I I should talk about it because I show all the good of me getting clothing and me buying things and stuff like that, but I never talk about the other side as much, which is that it can leave you feeling empty and it's not really the answer to everything. And I don't think I was insinuating that it was before, but I don't know, I feel like it's just something I wanted to talk about and worth talking about, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So yeah, let me know your own experience about this topic, if you've used fashion as an escape and how that's been for you. If you've had an experience similar to or completely different to mine, I'd love to hear about it either way, so let me know. You can chat in the comments. Hope you all have a great rest of your day or night or whatever timing you're on. Take care. I love you guys so much and wish you all the best until I see you next. Laters.